I want to welcome anyone joining us remotely, and we're really excited to have Paul Cardillo back with us today. He is going to talk The Choice for the Universe of Happiness is Love and Ours. And I have chosen a short inspirational story from the Reader's Digest of all places. I'm old and I enjoy that magazine. It's entitled, We All Scream for Ice Cream. Tina Jensen has seen a few daisy chains of kindness in her day, but nothing like this. A manager of 2 Dairy Queens in Brainerd, Minnesota, Jensen says that a drive-through customer will occasionally pick up the tab for the strangers in the next car, and then those grateful strangers will do the same for the car behind them, and then the following car does the same. Sometimes the chain can last for 20 cars before petering out. Last December, in the heart of the holiday season and the 3rd wave of COVID-19 illnesses, the kindness almost never stopped. In fact, it lasted for 2 days and over 900 cars. Or put another way, people bought $10,000 worth of ice cream for strangers. That just touches my heart. During times like these, it kind of restores your faith in humanity a little, said Heidi Bruce, who did her part to pay it forward in the line on one of the nights. The way the world is now, you see a lot of anger, tension, and selfish behavior. But what we witnessed was pure kindness, and it was a breath of fresh air. And from the Unity Prayer Ministry, I quote, I hold the world in a vision of harmony and peace. And now we will hear from Carol and the Goodfellows. Take it away.
All right, I'd like to say a little something before we get started about this song. I think a little bit later when Paul gets up, he's going to speak to us about how happiness and joy is a choice. And this song just reminds me of that so much because when the song came out in the 60s, you know, I remember being out on an afternoon, the sun was shining, it was fall, so it was kind of getting cool, and I was with my friends. And it was, you know, and I definitely chose happiness and joy that day. So we're going to do a song for you from the 60s, from the Young Rascals, called Groovin. Sing along if you want. On a Sunday afternoon, really couldn't get away too soon. I can't imagine anything that's better. The world is ours whenever we're together. There ain't no place I'd like to be instead of moving down Central Avenue, doing anything we like to do. There's always lots of things that we can see. We can't be anyone we like to be. And all those happy people we could meet just moving. Yeah, on a Sunday afternoon. Really couldn't get away too soon. No, 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 no. We'll keep on spending sunny days this way. We're gonna talk and laugh our time away. I feel it coming closer day by day. Life will be ecstasy, you and me endlessly grooving on a Sunday afternoon, yeah. Really couldn't get away too soon. Groovin', yeah, on a Sunday afternoon. That really couldn't get away too soon. Groovin'.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm really happy to be here, especially to talk about my favorite subject, which is the Course in Miracles and happiness and peace and love, all of which are taught by Jesus through the Course in Miracles and have made a significant impact on my life and what I do. Typically, for those of you who don't know me, my day job is a lawyer. I've been a lawyer for about 32 years now. I've done a general practice, so I've been in all kinds of situations, all kinds of ugly, difficult situations. I've argued cases at the appellate level. I've visited people and represented people that are imprisoned. And all of that brought me to the realization that there's only so much the law can do, and that there is a higher law. And there's one real law, and that's the law of love. That the law of love is the only real law that there is, and it's the only law that we need to pay attention to. When I argue in front of an appellate court, typically I'm standing at a podium like this, and there's at least 3 judges sitting up high out there. You've seen the Supreme Court. Well, that's what it looks like. There's 3 to 9 judges that are listening to what I'm saying. Half of them aren't believing a word that I say. The other half are shaking their heads. And my job is to represent my client. My job is to represent an injustice that I think has been visited upon my client in some fashion. And then during that process of arguing to the appellate panel, they typically stop me midstream and ask me questions. And during that time, they want to see how much I know about the subject. I'll sort of have something planned to say, and a judge that may not agree with me will start peppering me with questions. So I have to be able to, in preparation for an appellate argument, I have to know my subject inside and out. I have to know it better than the judge does. And that's the way I have approached the Course in Miracles. My client is the Holy Spirit. My client is God. My client is love. My client is peace. And in order to talk about what I'm going to talk about, there is a long, long period of preparation and learning. And the School of Hard Knocks was probably the best teacher that brought me to the Course in Miracles. Back in 2000, I went to Fort Lauderdale to see Wayne Dyer. And for those of you who have heard this story, just kind of pretend that you haven't. I'll go through it fairly quickly. When I went there, I had the gift of seeing the face of Christ physically. I was in a seminar with James von Prague, and the lights went down, and he said to drop your gaze or drop what you think is there and just allow what is there to be there. When the lights went down, the man, my partner, who I was looking at, a big blonde man from New Jersey, was no longer sitting there. And in his place was a man with a hood, a beard, and a smile, just smiling at me. And that lasted for a very short time, under a minute. After it was over, the lights came back up. My wife and I went out into the hallway where various writers and so forth were selling books. And as I was walking through the hallway to my left, I saw a painting, and I couldn't stop looking at it. The man that had hung the painting there came over to me and asked me what I knew about the painting. And the painting was the man I just saw 10 or 15 minutes ago, the exact face. And it was this face. It was this man sitting across from me. He asked me again what I knew, and I reluctantly told him about my experience. And long story short, the Reader's Digest version is that the painting had been sent to Fort Lauderdale from Chicago, and by Joanne Mako. And Joanne Mako is an angel artist in Chicago. She said the painting needs to go to Fort Lauderdale. She said, I don't know why, but it needs to be there. And a longer story short, this is the reason it was supposed to be there, was so that I could match up what I just saw with something physical, that painting. I'm a lawyer, and I deal in evidence. I'm not going to convince anyone. I can't convince a judge or a jury unless I have evidence and something to show you. And a very long journey, I'm standing here with something to show you. It has convinced me beyond a doubt that what Jesus talks about in the Course in Miracles, that only love is real, is the absolute, undivided truth. Everything else that we experience besides love, it was not the creation of God. Because God is love, and love can't create anything but love. Impossible. And so we are literally, the appearance world is a dream of conflict. It's a dream of struggle, of suffering, of unending anguish and disappointment and misery. If you just think about love in terms of what you understand about the love in this world, there's always an end to it. There's always a beginning, and there's always an end. We can love our pet, and then 10 years later, that pet dies. You can be married and divorced. What you thought was love is no longer there. We have been deceived into believing that the world that we see is real. It's not. In no uncertain terms, it's not. That's what Jesus came to teach. That's why he gave an example. That's why he gave an example rather than leave a lot of words, because he needed to show us the way. And the whole example of the crucifixion was to teach only love. He taught and said, this world is not real. Only the love of God is real. Only the light is real. And love, as you know, resists nothing. Love allows everything. And in the allowance, in love's allowance of everything, we go beyond the world. We transform the world. What the world is the temptation to believe that it's real, that something other than the peace of God is real. And so we spend our lives, I know I have, fighting, in a sense, fighting injustices and dealing with conflicts, trying to fix things. And once that's all done, what happens is that you die. And you look back, just before you die, you look back and you see the struggle that it was and the conflicts that it is. That's the choice that we have. The choice we have is either to live in love or we live in chaos. We live in peace, we choose love, or we choose chaos. There's a lesson in the Course in Miracles that basically says that love holds no grievances. It's one of the most important lessons that there is in the Course, that love can hold no grievances. And you are love. You are the Christ. You are the perfect creation of God. No less than that. No less than different than Jesus. And that's what he came to teach us. Love can hold no grievances. It's impossible. But we've been fooled into believing that we should hold grievances and fights and look at the world as treating us unfairly in some way, in relationships, financially, and we end up holding grievances or grudges our entire life. And they might be very, very little. They might be something as minor as just being jealous of someone that might have something that you want. That's a grievance. Anything that we hold in our mind that's not perfect peace is a grievance. An example, my very best friend was, about 5 or 6 years ago, was murdered. He was my former brother-in-law, he was a retired physician. And his name was Hector. Hector was from Puerto Rico and had a family practice his whole entire career. And he was very well loved by his patients. And Hector and I spent a lot of time together. A very happy man. Just a joy, absolute joy to be around. And about 5 years ago, he was in a break-in in his house. He and his wife were both murdered. He lived in a gated community, and so nobody could understand how this was done. And there's a whole story about the incident itself. But after about 1.5 years or 2 years after he was murdered, I was talking to one of my mentors in Michigan, Carolyn Zeilinger. And Carolyn is a retired psychologist who's been a mentor of mine for years. Very gifted spiritually. And we were talking, and then she said, "There's someone coming through that wants to talk to you." And she said, "He's showing me a map of Puerto Rico. His skin is a little darker. Does that ring any bells to you?" And I said, "Yes, that's Hector." And she said, "Good. He wants you to recognize, he's got a message for you." And the one thing that Hector wanted me to know, was do not hold any grudges. After he lost his body, the most important thing that he needed me to know was to not hold any grudges. And here is a man that could have finished his life and then got into the afterlife, got into spirit and said, "Oh my gosh, that was so unfair. I can't believe this is the way my life ended." And his message was, don't hold any grudges. That's just simply another way of saying, hold no grievances. Love can hold no grievances, no complaints. Because when we hold a complaint, and the biggest grievance, here's the biggest grievance. This is what the world wants us to, this is how the world wants us to react. Here it is in a nutshell. It shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't be this way. And then we set about our lives not allowing love to lead the way. We allow anger to lead the way. as tempting as it is to say it shouldn't be this way, because our rational mind looks at it and says, no, this isn't happiness, this isn't peace, it shouldn't be this way. So let me fight not peace, let me fight not love by being not love and not peace. What we're brought to by Yeshua's example in the crucifixion, he had a choice. He could choose peace, he could choose love, and show us the way. That's why the book that I wrote, The Power of Choosing Peace, that's what influenced me to write it. Because when you choose peace, you live in the dimension of happiness. The only way to be happy is living in peace. Resist the urge to get all angry and nuts about a nutty, angry world. Don't join with it. Go make the choice for heaven. Make the choice that Jesus did. I choose peace. I choose the love of God. And watch the miracles that happen around you, because we are one light. We're not separate. We're not alone. We live in one light. And the choices that I make affect that light. I either brighten the light or I dim it. All of those choices that we make contribute to whether or not this disappears sooner rather than later. Because if we haven't figured it out yet, I'm sure you're close to it, but the world that we live in is not heaven. The only thing that's not here is God. Think about that for a second. Think about the dupe, how we've been duped and tricked into believing that this is real. Think about that for a second. The only thing that's missing is the presence of God. We can become aware of the presence of God. And the presence of God is the perfect love that we share. That choice, it's simply a choice. It's a quiet choice. I do it when I'm in a courtroom. I do it when I'm sitting with my family. I do it when in any and every circumstance that I am in. And I watch the room change. I watch a judge's demeanor change like that. All I have to do is silently say, I choose peace. Let there be light. Let there be love. You get to decide. You're not at the mercy of the world. It's the opposite. You have dominion over what you want to see. Every choice that we make is one for peace and love, or it's one for chaos. And remember this, and I'll close with this. It's important to understand that we have been also tricked and duped into believing that you can make a choice in an illusion. And we go through our lives making choices. I'm going to pick out a red car. I'm going to eat. I like red. I like chocolate ice cream. I like red shirts, and so on and so forth. And we go through life making all these choices. When at the end of our life, you look back and all that you did was make choices within an illusion. All that you did was pick out what we liked in an illusion. The most important choice to make every day, day in, day out, is the choice for the peace of God. That will take care of everything that's needed. That's when Jesus said that to choose the kingdom of heaven and everything else will be provided. Seek first the kingdom of heaven. All that the kingdom of heaven is peace. It's a simple closing of the eyes. It's a resting in God. It's a resting in peace. It's defenselessness. During the crucifixion, Jesus put his hands down at his side, and he trusted. He trusted love. He trusted peace. He trusted what I'm telling you now. And after it was over, he said, essentially, see, I told you. Follow me. You can do the same thing. Just choose peace. You have no idea of the miracles that you perform literally by simply choosing love, choosing peace. And the choice is simply made within yourself because you have the power to do it. Trust this. Present trust is one of the things that Jesus harps on in the Course in Miracles. Present trust resolves all problems. You can't be solving problems. You can't be out in struggle. You can't be trying to figure things out and be at peace. You can't. At some point, you make a choice. I'm trust, and I let it go to the Holy Spirit. I let love show me the way. Love, show me the way. It's what I get up every morning. What I say is, love, show me the way. Love, what are we doing today? Love, who should I call? My partner is love. I find it easier than saying God, simply because God is a kind of a loaded word. But it's God. But I say love, what are we doing today? What should I do? And I talk to love all day. I lock arms with love. Let's go. It's like, going down the yellow brick road, skipping down the yellow brick road, literally with love. Love is my partner. Love knows everything. Love knows where I'm going. Love knows what I should do. I don't. Love knows what to do in every circumstance. Every single circumstance, love has already gotten there before I have gotten there. The more that we trust that, the more that we place pleasant trust, the more that we'll be at peace. And that's the key, is to be at peace. Let love lead the way. Or we get up in the morning and we say, fear, show me what to do. That's because that's what we do. Fear, show me. World, show me what to do. Problems, please show me what to do. Problems and fear, same thing, will be glad to show us what to do. They've been showing us what to do forever. There's literally a miracle that I don't have time to share with you. Lots of examples of just simply saying, love, show me what to do. Watch how you feel when you say that. Feel it within yourself. Watch how you feel. All of a sudden, you'll feel like, I'm not alone, because you're not. You're not alone. You live in love. Love, show me what to do. You're saying truth, show me what to do. Even though the world is an illusion, what we want is the happy dream. We want the happy illusion. We want the peaceful illusion. And so when we walk through it with love, when love is our partner, then you can go to bed at night when you're done with the day and absolutely sleep like a baby. Because you know you've done everything humanly possible to serve the light, to serve love. All that you have to do is ask. All that you have to do is ask and trust. Ask and trust. Love, show me where to go, what to do. What should we do today? Speaking of it in terms of we. What should we do? That's what Yeshua did. What should we do today? Crucifixion? Okay, let's go do that. And he trusted. And he trusted. So, to end this, what Spirit would have us know, what Yeshua, who's very present right now, would have us know, is simply place the same trust that I placed in God, the same trust that I placed in the truth, and walk through your crucifixions as you go through your day, the same way that I did. Do the same thing. Choose love. Choose to be guided by love and trust. Just trust. And that trust sometimes is difficult to bring about, but I guarantee you that if you, in your heart, you say, please show me that I can trust you, you'll be shown. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Powerful message. Thank you. Thank you so much. Enjoyed that. Now let's all go out and spread our light and our love in the world. Yes. If the ushers would please come forward, and Carol and the Goodfellows are going to end the service, so we'll enjoy what you said. Divine Creator, we give thanks for all that we have, all that we're able to give, and all that we receive. And so it is.
I'm sorry.
One step, one act, it's a simple fact. We can be the change. Don't have to do it all, no steps are too small. We can be the change. Be the change. We can be the change. Be the change. We can be the change. One heart, one voice, it's a simple choice. We can be the change. When it calls to you and it's yours to do, we can be the change. Be the change. We can be the change. Be the change. We can be the change. Reach out one hand, be the change. A part of the plan, be the change. Put it into motion, be the change. Like a ripple on the ocean, be the change. Thank you, and have a wonderful afternoon. Stick around for the volunteer appreciation.